High Rock is a very unique location, from the rocky canyons of Riven Spire to the rolling hills of Glenumbra. Hammerfell is also a unique location, from the great Alakir Desert to the rocky mountains of Kargor. What do these two provinces have in common? Well, first, they both are situated right next to each other, and together they can make for an amazing location if we were to see both in the Elder Scrolls 6. And what is up, guys? Andrew from the Denmen here, and today we'll be going over what we could be seeing from the geography in the Elder Scrolls 6 if it were set in both High Rock and Hammerfell. There's a lot that could be coming, so if you are excited, make sure you hit that like button and comment what you would want to see from the provinces in TES 6. Now, this video is highly speculative, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. With that being said, we have a lot to go over, so get comfy, grab that bottle of honey brew mead, and let's get right into the video. The first subject I'd like to talk about is the geography of High Rock. Now, we have visited High Rock before in an Elder Scrolls game, but I believe it is still likely because the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall came out over 25 years ago, and even though it might give us fans some nostalgia, it wouldn't rule out the province of High Rock entirely. It is one of, if not the most diverse province in Tamriel, and is a very big selling point for the Elder Scrolls 6 to take place here. High Rock is bordered by Skyrim to the east, home of the Nords, and Hammerfell to the south, home of the Red Guards. High Rock is home to the Bretons, half man, half mer people. They are adept in the ways of magic, and the land itself is very medieval. There are 5 major regions in High Rock: Glenumbra, Stormhaven, Riven Spire, Northern Bangarai, and Rothgar. As for Hammerfell, we have visited the desert-like province before in a past Elder Scrolls title, but that doesn't mean we won't see it soon. The last time we saw this location in a good amount was all the way back in Redguard, which came out in 1998. So that doesn't rule the province out entirely. Better graphics for the Elder Scrolls 6 will make it seem like its own thing, even if we have seen it before. Now, the geography itself isn't as cut and dry as people might think. I bet when someone says Hammerfell, you instantly think of dry, arid lands in a desert environment. I can say with certainty there is more to it than just a large desert. Take a look at this concept art from the Elder Scrolls Online and you will instantly understand what I mean. Alongside the dry lands, there are many jungles scattered across the environment to give it that tropical feel. Closer to the southeastern border of Hammerfell, there are fertile grasslands similar to that of the Gold Coast and Cyrodiil. The Colovian Highlands also lie along the southeastern border, which is a desolate area that separates the provinces of Hammerfell and Cyrodiil. Along the northern border is a mountain range known as the Dragon Tail Mountains, home to many orc tribes. Hammerfell is bordered by High Rock to the north, home of the Bretons, Skyrim to the northeast, home of the Nords, and Cyrodiil to the southeast, home of the Imperials. The main inhabitants of the province are that of the Red Guard. They come from the sunken continent of Yokuda to the west and are adept in the way of the sword. They have become renowned fighters across Tamriel and have great agility. Hammerfell is home to a wide variety of environments and has a lot of notable regions. These include Southern Bangarai, Craglorn, Kefram, Sunforge, the Chain, Stros Makai, and of course, the Great Alakir Desert. Alright, to kick us off, I want to take a look at the individual provinces, starting with the westernmost region of High Rock with Glenumbra. It consists mostly of rolling hills and mystical forests. There is, however, a large swamp near the area of Hagfen. It is bordered by Stormhaven to the northeast and Riven Spire across the Kingsguard Mountains to the north. There are 2 large cities in the region of Glenumbra, Daggerfall and Camlorn. Daggerfall is the largest settlement in Glenumbra with over 100,000 people living within the city. The city itself is split up into 4 districts similar to the Imperial City in Cyrodiil. In the north of the city is the Castle Town, to the northwest is the Harbor District, in the south is the Trade District, and towering above all of them to the west would be Castle Daggerfall. Then we have Camlorn, which would be the second largest settlement in Glenumbra behind only Daggerfall. It is located in the Cambrai Hills, which is known for its magical legends and myths, which could give Camlorn a more haunted feeling to the region. I can only imagine what a quest would look like where the locals are talking about a mysterious figure that would show up in the middle of the night and kidnap people and they would never be seen again. You find out it is actually a vampire cult doing this and you have to end their tyranny once and for all. The place around the city could give way to a chilling vibe on a scale we've never seen before. Camlorn is also known for its prosperous trade within the Iliac Bay region, which could give us some interesting dialogue options with sailors who would have traveled far and brought home tales of their adventures. Moving forward, we have Stormhaven, which is the centralmost region in High Rock, and it borders all other regions in the province. It consists mostly of forested green hills. The region itself is infested by great storms, which could make the terrain harder to traverse and maybe even dynamic. Imagine a great rainstorm occurs and it leaves the surrounding land swept with mud, and now you move slower within the mud. Dynamic changes like this could give the Elder Scrolls 6 a fresh breath of new air to it. I would love to see them do something like this because it would make the game feel alive and you could see the world around you change. Stormhaven is also home to two major cities, the birthplace of Tiber Septim with Alakir Castle and the great trading city of Wayrest. Alakir Castle is actually found within a sub-region of Stormhaven called Alakir. As it was said previously, Alakir Castle is the birthplace of Tiber Septim, so it would be more than likely that we would learn more about Tiber Septim through quest or dialogue with the townsfolk. Then there is Wayrest, which is the most prominent city in Stormhaven, with it being one of the largest cities of commerce in High Rock. In the 4th era, Wayrest was raided by Corsairs and the Dark Brotherhood sanctuary there was destroyed. It would be interesting to see how the city would look after the sacking and see how Wayrest is rebuilt in its stead. Overall, Stormhaven is one of the most fantasy parts of High Rock and has a lot of potential with its weather. Continuing on, we have Riven Spire, which is the northernmost region of High Rock. It is gloomy in design and mostly consists of dry badlands, flinty crags, windswept moors, narrow canyons, and jagged rock formations. If the player were to traverse within the region, it would give the player a whole new level of hardship. With all of the rock formations within the area, and if Bethesda decides on giving the Elder Scrolls 6 dynamic weather, it could have rock avalanches and you would hear large rocks smash to the surface with a loud boom in the distance. This feature would really make you feel like you are there and immerse you into the world even more. Expect the Doom Crag to be a major part of Riven Spire, with it being a massive alien tower that was destroyed in the 2nd era and could have major quest potential as well. Riven Spire also has some interesting features, including the two major cities, Shornhelm and Northpoint. Let's keep it going by talking about the capital of Riven Spire, Shornhelm. Known as the Crown City of the North, it is divided into two parts, the Lower City and the Upper City. The lower contains most of the townspeople and shops. The upper city, on the other hand, is where you will find the nobles and the castle area. This could give way to an interesting conflict of corrupt noblemen holding sway over the king, while the townspeople are left to fend for themselves and finally want to do something about it. This would fit High Rock in general very well because it is such a medieval environment. Shornhelm has been known to be run by a council instead of a king, so it leaves a lot to be desired on what could happen. Our next town in Riven Spire is Northpoint, which is known for being a harbor village on the Sea of Ghost. Northpoint resides right next to the border of Skyrim, so I would say it is possible to hear stories from Skyrim when venturing into the city. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Bethesda to sneak in an Easter egg from the Elder Scrolls 5 for a nod towards the fans. Harbor towns always have a lot of potential because it is never just the townspeople who populate the location. You will find sailors and people just coming in from the boats looking for a new life. You will definitely find some interesting people in the taverns at Northpoint with some fun quest or dialogue options. I just hope they do the region and cities within right, because there is a lot of potential when it comes to Riven Spire. The 4th region in High Rock is Northern Bonr and borders both Skyrim and Hammerfell. The diversity between races here could be better than any other region in High Rock. The actual region itself is also very diverse with its features. In the northern part, it is more fertile and has plenty of rolling hills with sprouting trees. The farther south you go, the more mountainous it gets, with a more desert-like environment and little green left. The difference in environment will give it a fresher feel than what we saw with Skyrim being snow and mountains. What makes Bonr so good as a whole is that it is set in two different provinces, both High Rock and Hammerfell, but is separated by the Bonr Pass. This has been used for generations to defend High Rock from Redguard raiders, and a game set in High Rock will likely have a questline where we defend the pass or be involved in some type of invasion from Bonr Pass. To kind of wrap it all up, the main city of Northern Bonr is Evermore and has been the seat of power since its beginning in the 1st era. If a conflict between Hammerfell and High Rock existed, it would come to a head in the region of Bonr, so the quest potential here is limitless. The final main region of High Rock is home to the orcs, the snowy lands of Rothgar. Set in the Rothgarian mountains, the seat of power for the orcs has been the great city of Orsinium, sacked many times and built in different spots around the region of Rothgar. The ruins of the past Orsiniums would still be there, so the exploration of these locations would be very intriguing to see what we find. The latest sacking of Orsinium saw the relocation of a new one in a location we don't know of just yet, but we suspect on the border between High Rock and Hammerfell in the region of Craglorn. Rothgar would be steeped in a ton of orc lore and have quests related to them throughout the region, and for our people who chose to be an orc would love to spend their time here. Seeing the way the orc culture works more in depth would be interesting, because even though we had orc strongholds in Skyrim, they were not fleshed out as much as a game that has the home of the orcs would be like. So to kind of wrap it all up, I expect Rothgar to be a very interesting region because it is so much more different than any other in High Rock. We cannot mention a game in High Rock without mentioning the Isle of Balera. Located in the Iliac Bay, we have the site of the Adamantine Tower, the oldest known structure in Tamriel itself. It is steeped in a lot of different lore, from the Dureni to the Bretons and even the Aedra themselves. It is said that the tower was used to punish Lorcan for tricking the other Aedra into creating Mundus, or the plane that all the Elder Scrolls games takes place. To travel here would have plenty of quests and be very lore heavy. The catacombs underneath the tower would provide exploration that would rival that of Blackreach itself. We have no idea what we would find in the tower because it is said that now all of the tower and the catacombs that lay below it have been fully explored. So basically, a game set in High Rock could not be complete without the addition of the Isle of Balera, and could definitely be a part of the main quest if the game was set in this province. Now let's take a look at the provinces of Hammerfell, starting with southern Bankerai. We talked about the northern part a little earlier, but the southern section has been known as the Fallen Waste, and it's for good reason. We already touched on the Bankerai Pass, so we won't go over that again, but there is also a major city within the region of southern Bankerai with Holland's Stand. It is similar in architecture with that of the great city of Sentinel. We would no doubt be seeing more Breton influence in Holland's Stand, with it being on the border of High Rock. Even though geographically it is not one of the more diverse regions, there are still plenty of other areas where it succeeds at. We could see a number of different scenarios play out within the Fallen Waste, and it would for sure be interesting to see what Bethesda comes up with. Craglorn is a region that lies to the northeast of Hammerfell. It borders Bankerai to the west, Skyrim to the northeast, and Cyrodiil to the southeast, just to give you a representation of where it lands on the map. There are two main cities in Craglorn, Dragonstar and Ellenhere, both with plenty of diversity. At the time of Skyrim, Dragonstar can be described as more of a cosmopolitan compared to the rest of the province. Then there is Ellenhere, which is also known as the City of Mages. Once a Need settlement, now the capital of Craglorn, the Great City is the seat of power in the region. Now that we got through the major cities, what makes Craglorn so unique is that it is split up into two separate lands. We have Lower Craglorn, which is pretty similar to what you would expect in Hammerfell, with dry badlands and windswept plains. Then we have Upper Craglorn, which is more akin to that of the Reach in Skyrim. A place very rugged and mountainous, which definitely brings a lot of diversity to the location. I'd definitely like to see them go all out in Craglorn because it could for sure be something special. The southernmost region of Hammerfell lies the coastal paradise of Kefrim. The Alakir Desert sits right above it, with the peninsula of Hughesbane within the region also. The two major cities in Kefrim are Galan and Abaz Landing. You can really see the difference in this location compared to others in Hammerfell just by the cities alone. First is Abaz Landing, which can be described as the center of thieving in the province. The city streets are filled with thieves and scum alike, all looking to make some quick coin. Probably the most interesting area within Abaz Landing is that of the Flooding District. It is home to the city's slums, and the residents live higher up off the ground to stay away from the crocodile-infested area. If we could see something like this in-game, it would no doubt be a fan-favorite city because of how different it is compared to the others. Then there is Galan, which is one of the major political powers in Hammerfell. The port city was once home to Sephiroth Septim, who stopped the Wolf Queen from gaining power in the War of the Red Diamond. For those who played through the Wolf Queen Awakens quest in Solitude, Galan would be a nice callback to the Elder Scrolls V. During the time of Skyrim, Kefrim is still devastated from the Great War when the Aldemari Dominion took most of the tropical region. Eventually, the Red Guards of Hammerfell took back their land and are now looking to rebuild the damage. This would bring an interesting storyline of a war-torn landscape and a big difference from the rest of the province. Kefrim would no doubt be an interesting region to explore from its diverse landscape and the culture that surrounds the area. Probably the most significant region in Hammerfell is that of the Alakir Desert. When people think of Hammerfell, they think of vast deserts, sand-swept areas, and little watering holes. That is because of the Alakir Desert being such an important location within the province. Situated on the western side of the province, it sits right on the Iliac Bay, with it bordering Bonr to the east. This is not just a normal desert though. It has been stated many times of the magical nature of the Alakir. The sands of the Great Desert always seem to be constantly shifting, with an enormous red mist rising up from the ground in the morning, with it disappearing around noon. There is even more though, with travelers reportedly not even knowing where they are once they enter the Alakir. The main city is that of Sentinel, which is the capital of the province. It overlooks the Iliac Bay, with it being one of the more hospitable locations within the desert. That doesn't mean that many people live within its walls, because the region itself is so harsh. There are also plenty of Breton nobles who travel to Sentinel for somewhat of a vacation. On the southernmost point of the desert lies the former capital of Hammerfell with Hagath. Similar in design to Sentinel, the city is a refuge for crowns and forebears alike. We will get into the political domain of Hammerfell in a little bit. For now though, just know that they have been enemies with each other for generations. The Alakir Desert has a lot of different unique aspects that you will not find anywhere else, and if Bethesda can do it right, it will be one of the most distinctive regions we have ever seen in an Elder Scrolls game. The centralmost region in Hammerfell is that of Sunforge. It is landlocked, bordered by that of Bonr to the west and Craglorn to the east. The geography of the surrounding area is similar to that of the Fallen Waste, with arid lands and rocky desert formations. Sunforge was once home to an ancient race of man known as the Ket Keptu. Even though they lived during the Merethic and early First Era, they were still far from primitive, because they were able to refine ores when other races could not. The main city in Sunforge is known as Skaven, which is one of the major areas of refuge in the province. One of their main exports is bat cheese, which is produced from scav bats who live in a cave just outside of the city. Another major settlement in Sunforge is that of Verkarth, once known as an unholy city because it housed vampires and werewolves alike. Since then, it has reshaped its image from its saviors of the Elysian Empire. There are plenty of architectural designs similar to the Elysian era, with hints of Redguard influence making its way into its walls. The distinct cities give the region a unique feel to it, even if the environment is similar to most of Hammerfell. Just from the cities alone though, it would be interesting to see more of Sunforge in the Elder Scrolls 6. Next up is a set of islands off the coast of Hammerfell known as the Chain. They are considered to be a part of the province of Hammerfell and share some of its features. A lot of the environments is similar, with large desert areas and some rock formations. There are 3 main islands in the chain, each being very closely related with one another. On one of the islands though sits a dormant volcano with carved rooms which were used as some type of prison. The chain is known for pirating and could give way to some interesting features. If we were able to see this archipelago in the Elder Scrolls 6, we might even get the chance to sail our own boats. With sets of islands to explore along the coast of Hammerfell, it would be a great way to traverse the ocean around the province. This would actually be a great way to introduce boats as a system of travel, with a lot of potential to it. This would certainly be a great feature to have, and one that we could possibly see sometime in the future. The final region on our list is the island of Stros Mackay. Even though this is not a main location in Hammerfell, the history surrounding it makes it highly likely that we would be seeing it in game. The former capital of the province has a lot going for it that makes it so unique. For one thing, it is an island right off the mainland, which makes it even more likely. It also would be a great way to add boats as a way for traversing the area, just like horses are on land. This would give an incentive to using boats in a different way instead of just a fast travel boat, and would definitely be interesting to see. There is also one major city on the island with Port Hunding, this one being split up by large ravines that keep the palace from the main city. Most of the environment is sand dunes with a mountain range towards the western side of the island. It would definitely be an interesting place to travel, and hopefully we will see it in the Elder Scrolls 6. As a whole, Hammerfell and High Rock would make for not only an interesting location, but one that is diverse and I'd wager visually stunning. If we were to see a game with both provinces, this would likely be the most diverse game we have ever seen, with deserts, mountainous regions, and sprawling grasslands. From the great Alakir Desert to the rocky mountains of Riven Spire, there is so much potential here for a great location in the Elder Scrolls 6. But that is all for me now though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.